Welcome to Redditenderbender. We give Reddit stories their deserving endings because we hate being left hanging. For context, me, 25 female, and my boyfriend have been together for in total 8 years. We met between mutual friends while I was still in school, and he had just moved to my town to go to college. We were friends for 2 years before we started dating. The reason for this was because 1, I was too scared to make a move, and secondly, he was in love with one of our mutual friends. After she got a boyfriend, he moved on to liking me, and we have been dating ever since. Last Saturday was his birthday, and he told me he has never been thrown a surprise birthday party and would like to experience one. I worked all week before Saturday, his birthday, planning and inviting people, getting reservations, buying a cake, etc. I asked his best friend to hang out with him for most of the day so that I could set up and get everyone to get here and hide for the surprise. The birthday party was a success, and he was smiling the whole time. He had snuck off with his best friend somewhere, and I wanted to find him so that we could sing happy birthday and cut the cake. As I was walking down the hallway, I heard him and his friend talking, so I kept walking towards their voices. I heard him tell his friend that he should have kept trying with our mutual friend. He told him that he should have been the man that was engaged to her and not her now fiancé. He said that he hated waking up to me and that he wished that our mutual friend was the one that threw him his first surprise party. He said that he felt disgusted every time he had to kiss me or hold me because he knew that our mutual friend should be in his arms instead. He said that he felt like he was stuck in our relationship and that he would end up having to marry me. He said that our mutual friend was better than me in looks from head to toe. He said that she was the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen. I went back to the party and told everyone that I couldn't find him and that we would have to wait for him to come back. When he came back, he gave me a hug and a kiss on the head and told me he loved me. I didn't want to ruin his party, so I went along with it. He doesn't know that I know he doesn't honestly love me. I've just been going along with everything. I honestly don't want to break up with him. I just want to know how I can make him fall in love with me. I don't know what I did to make him feel so unhappy, so I would like to know. How do I make my boyfriend fall in love with me? Or should I just give up on our relationship? He is the first boyfriend I've ever had, and I'm scared to start dating again at my age. Let's start from where OP stumbled upon a heartbreaking revelation, overhearing words that shattered her world. We'll pick up the story after the party and find out what could have happened next. I was a mess in the days after. I loved my boyfriend so much and didn't want to lose him, but his words were like knives in my heart. I kept replaying them over and over in my head, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. I was desperate to make things right and get him to love me again. I decided to lay it all out on the table with my boyfriend. I figured if we were really honest with each other, we could fix things. I took a deep breath and told him what I'd heard at the party. I started to cry as I told him how scared I was of losing him and how much I wanted to know what was wrong. My boyfriend was shook by how honest I was, and he got it that his words had cut me deep. He came clean that he still had a thing for our mutual friend and admitted that it wasn't cool to compare me to her. He apologized big time for being thoughtless and promised me that he really loved me. In that moment of vulnerability, we both realized how important it was to be open and honest with each other. We vowed to put in the work to make our relationship better, knowing that real love is built on trust, communication, and the willingness to grow together. As time went on, my boyfriend's crush on our mutual friend fizzled out. Instead, he started to appreciate the unique things about me even more. We worked through our tough feelings together and made our love even stronger. Of course, we had our ups and downs, but through it all, our love just kept getting stronger. We learned to appreciate each other more and accept each other's flaws. We realized that relationships are tough and wonderful at the same time, and that's what makes them worth it. At the end of the day, our shared history, Our strong connection and our commitment to each other made it possible for us to build a great life together. Now, let's find out what happens if she makes a different decision about her boyfriend. As time went on, I couldn't keep pretending that I was happy in a relationship where I wasn't getting the love I deserved. So I took a deep breath and sat my boyfriend down for a real talk. I told him what I'd heard, and things quickly got heated. My boyfriend was shook when I confronted him about what I'd heard. He tried to take back what he said and say that he didn't mean it. He said he was confused about his feelings, but I knew the damage was done. I realized that I deserved better than to be with someone who didn't fully love and appreciate me. I knew I couldn't stay in a relationship that was making me doubt myself and feel pain. So, in the heat of the moment, I made a tough decision. I ended things with my boyfriend and cut all ties. I was heartbroken, but I was determined to move on. I started a journey of self-discovery. I gave myself time to heal, leaned on my friends for support, and did things that made me happy. With each passing day, I found new ways to cope with my pain, and my heart slowly began to mend. While I was still healing from my breakup, I met a guy who was really caring and understanding. We met while volunteering, and we quickly bonded over our shared passion for helping others. He told me how much he admired my strength and resilience, and I started to see myself in a new light. Our friendship slowly blossomed into something more, and I started to let myself fall in love again. He showed me what it was like to be loved and cherished for who I am. Our connection grew stronger every day, built on trust, laughter, and a deep understanding of each other. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I was able to pick myself up after a breakup and find love again. I realized that ending things with my ex was the best thing for me because it allowed me to meet someone who truly values and cares for me unconditionally. Our love thrived, and I realized that heartbreak doesn't mean you can't be happy. I found genuine happiness and love with someone who saw me for who I am. I learned that my worth isn't defined by someone else's opinion of me, but by the love and respect I have for myself. Now, let's hear the tragic version of this story, where things unfold in a way OP could never have imagined. As time went on, I still loved my boyfriend to bits. I kept hoping that he would see my worth and love me back the same way. I buried my pain and tried my best to be the perfect partner for him, even though he seemed emotionally unavailable. But as time went on, my soul felt more and more drained. I was stuck in a loveless relationship that was only hurting me. My once bright smile faded, and I put on a fake, happy face to hide my pain. Deep down, my heart ached for the love and care I had given so freely to my boyfriend. I was miserable all the time. I was constantly trying to win my boyfriend's heart, but it felt like nothing I did was good enough. I put all my energy into making him happy, even if it meant sacrificing my own needs and desires. I buried my pain deep down, afraid that if I showed him how I was really feeling, he would push me away even further. My friends and family could tell that I was struggling. I was less talkative, and my smile was starting to fade. They asked me if I was okay, but I brushed them off and said everything was fine. I didn't want to worry them or admit that my relationship was falling apart. Years went by, and my once bright hopes faded like stars in the night sky. My relationship became a prison I felt trapped in, driven by the fear of being alone and the daunting idea of starting over. I settled for a loveless existence, my heart trapped in a gilded cage of fake happiness. In the end, OP's story is a reminder that you shouldn't sacrifice your own happiness for someone else. Love should be a two-way street where both people are happy and supported. OP's journey shows us that sometimes the best thing to do is to let go and find the love and happiness you deserve. What would you have done in OP's shoes? Which ending was the best? Please tell me in the comments below. For what it's worth, this is not a post asking for any legal or financial advice. We already have a lawyer and have help financially. No offense to Reddit, but I'd rather not get any legal advice from a forum. But I'm okay getting relationship advice, it seems. As the title states, my wife was recently sued. She lost, and we had to pay. The money is a significant amount for us. We didn't have much in savings or our emergency fund to begin with, and both of those accounts are now empty. My current problem is trying to move past the resentment and anger I'm feeling towards my wife. Until now, I've always felt like we were a partnership in our marriage. But since I'm the breadwinner, I can't help but feel like I'm spending my money on something that isn't my fault. I've had no problem paying the mortgage and taking care of various financial burdens that come with being a married homeowner. However, I have been the only one to put money aside in our savings and other accounts to prepare for an emergency. Like a total car, someone loses their job, medical bills, or an act of God. Not a stupid lawsuit where I know my wife is guilty. She has a part-time job and doesn't make much money, but pays for smaller things when she can, like groceries and some random bills. But she does take care of a lot of cooking, cleaning, and caring for our pets. What did my wife do? Note, I had no idea this was going on while it was happening. She used LinkedIn to find her former ex-best friend. She ended up creating a realistic-looking fake LinkedIn profile with a vague occupation of recruiter. My wife ended up sending this ex-best friend, Laura, a few messages pretending to be a recruiter in her line of work. Laura finally responded thinking that this recruiter was real. My wife wanted her phone number, but Laura gave her a personal email address instead. My wife created a second fake LinkedIn profile and started to send messages to people with similar titles as Laura at her company. These messages said derogatory things about Laura, a mixture of truthful things but embarrassing and just fabricated BS to make Laura look bad. Her manager got one of these messages that claimed Laura was a heavy drug user. Laura's manager talked to her about these messages, and he felt like the messages were bizarre and seemed like someone was trying to troll or harass Laura. Well, Laura's team had her back and helped her save these messages. Not only that, but Laura requested that she be drug tested anyway to provide further evidence that she was clean. My wife didn't know this at this point, but Laura was pregnant. Several of her co-workers, including her manager, testified on Laura's behalf. Using the personal email address she got from the fake recruiter profile, she was able to find a few social media platforms Laura was on and was able to figure out her husband's name. She did some more internet sleuthing and found Laura's husband on Facebook. Laura's husband didn't have much on his Facebook profile, but you could see his business email address on it. My wife sent him an email claiming that Laura was cheating on him. The husband confronted Laura about this email, and Laura encouraged him to keep responding to this person and save the messages, as well as to start asking specific questions about this supposed affair. My wife thought she was being clever and ended up telling the husband that Laura was cheating on him during the work week. She even gave him specific dates. What she didn't realize was Laura had something turned on in Google Maps where it keeps years' worth of historical GPS data. Some of the dates my wife gave him also happened to be days where they both worked from home together. She also ended up giving him dates during a time they were on vacation together. Laura had her husband keep responding as much as possible to my wife and to back up all correspondence. My wife was able to find out when and where the baby shower was going to be. One of Laura's friends had created a public registry for her and had the invitation online. My wife decided to show up unannounced. The baby shower took place in a semi-public place. They had rented out an area connected to the public business. She did not make herself known immediately. Instead, she looked for patrons that were entering and exiting the rented-out room. She was able to get the attention of a few guests that had never met her and tried to gossip about Laura. My wife was telling people that Laura didn't actually know who the father was, among other things. This was at an event where her husband was at as well. The word got back around to Laura, and she spotted my wife and apparently immediately put together all the pieces of what happened. I'm leaving a fair amount of information out. My wife was able to find phone numbers, social media accounts, and email for other people in Laura's circle and sent them messages about Laura on multiple occasions. All the messages were trying to paint Laura in an extremely derogatory light. All the events I've mentioned so far took place over a year or so. My wife didn't think to mask her IP address, so it was pretty easy to find out that all of these made-up messages came from the same IP address, ours. Many of Laura's friends and family testified on her behalf. Laura had everyone save as much digital evidence as possible, and it was a lot. Laura and her husband hired a lawyer and decided to sue my wife. They had ample evidence against her. All the saved messages, close friends, and even her manager spoke on her behalf. She showed that she went to see a therapist once all the harassment started because she was depressed and anxious. She showed that she and her husband went to counseling after the accusations of her cheating. She even went above and beyond and had more drug tests done to show she was clean, and my wife's accusations were 100 false, and even had a paternity test done to show that my wife was again wrong and chose to lie. I honestly felt awful for Laura. There were lots of tears on her end. You could tell how much emotional stress she had gone through. She said that being pregnant during the majority of this was absolutely horrific and was worried the stress and anxiety would somehow hurt her baby. She was pained that her one and only baby shower was ruined by my wife, and that was something that could never be truly repaid or made up for, and that my wife's harassment continued even after Laura gave birth and was trying to manage a newborn child. My wife has never done anything this crazy before. I knew she could be a little petty and jealous of others, especially people she used to be friends with in the past. But it was only talk, no action. We've had a very happy marriage otherwise. We rarely fight, have a lot in common. We have a lot of fun together. But she really messed up this time. I don't know how to move forward. I know someone is going to suggest therapy, but I really want to start building up an emergency fund again. We're pretty screwed financially for a while. Let's find out what happens if OP stays with his wife and works through some of their difficulties. We pick the story up where they're trying to move forward in the lawsuit's aftermath. As time went on, the fallout from my wife's actions became more and more overwhelming. The legal case wiped out our savings and emergency fund. We were drowning in debt and struggling to make ends meet. The comfortable life we used to have was gone, all thanks to my wife's reckless decisions. It wasn't just the financial burden that was weighing us down. The fallout from my wife's actions had a big impact on Laura's life, ruining her personal and professional relationships. The pain on Laura's face and the tears in her eyes were a constant reminder of the damage my wife had done to her. Laura's once vibrant spirit had been dampened by the emotional trauma she had experienced. The stress of the harassment had taken a toll on her, especially during her pregnancy. Her happiness had been replaced by anxiety and fear, and her joy had been stolen by the constant torment my wife had inflicted on her. Seeing Laura's anguish filled me with guilt. How could I have been so blind to my wife's destructive behavior? I had failed to see the darkness that dwelled within her, and now we were all paying the price. As time went on, the pressure on our marriage kept getting worse. We had lost trust in each other, and the love we once shared felt like a distant memory. The happiness we had once known now seemed like a cruel joke, shattered by my wife's unforgivable actions. My wife, weighed down by guilt, began to realize the extent of the pain she had caused. She was consumed by regret, but it was too late. The damage had already been done. No matter how sorry she felt, it couldn't erase the pain she had inflicted on Laura and her loved ones. We were isolated and ostracized from our community. People branded us as villains for the pain we had caused. The whispers and judgment of others followed us everywhere we went, like a dark cloud that wouldn't go away. It was a constant reminder of the irreparable damage my wife had done. In the end, we realized that we had lost more than just money. We had lost our moral compass, our sense of empathy, and the trust of those around us. The consequences of my wife's actions would forever haunt our lives, a painful reminder of how low we had sunk. I look back on this dark chapter of our lives, and I can't help but wonder what could have been. If only my wife had made different choices. If only she had tried to forgive and redeem herself instead of giving in to her jealousy and revenge. But there are no second chances in life, only the consequences of our actions. So, we were left to pick up the pieces of our lives, our hearts heavy with regret and our spirits crushed by the pain we had caused. Our marriage was in shambles, our finances were in ruins, and we were all feeling the weight of an unshakable sadness. In this version, we see what happens if OP is not able to move past his wife's actions. I've come to a painful realization after seeing what my wife has done. I can't stay in this marriage anymore. The betrayal and cruelty she showed me have left a permanent scar on my heart, and I can't find it in me to forgive her. Despite the good times we had and the love we once shared, the darkness that has taken over my wife's soul has destroyed the trust that our relationship was built on. The financial problems we're facing now are a constant reminder of the consequences of her actions, and they only add to the feeling of betrayal that I feel. I can't forget the pain in Laura's eyes, the emotional turmoil she went through during her pregnancy, and the mess my wife's actions have created. They're all constant reminders of the damage she's done to innocent people. I can't forget the pain in Laura's eyes, the emotional turmoil she went through during her pregnancy, and the mess my wife's actions have created. They're all constant reminders of the damage she's done to innocent people. I can't ignore the suffering she's caused, and I can't pretend that our own lives haven't been affected by her lies. I know that forgiveness may not be possible, and staying in a broken relationship will only make things worse. I'm making the difficult decision to get a divorce, even though it's breaking my heart. I know it's the best thing for me because I need to focus on my own recovery and well-being. I'm still thinking about the happy memories we had together and the dreams we had for the future, but I can't ignore the pain my wife has caused me. I need to put myself first. This has been a tough journey, but I'm hopeful that time will heal my wounds. I know the road ahead will be challenging, but I'm determined to rebuild my life and find happiness again. I'm glad I'm finally free from the darkness that consumed my wife's actions. I'm starting a new chapter now, and I'm going to focus on healing, growing, and creating a future that's not tainted by the pain of the past. What would you have done in OP's shoes? Which ending was the best? Tell me in the comments below. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because you won't want to miss a single captivating story. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.